Okay, Peter, so today I wanted to talk about Fury Wilder. Now we've got the rescheduled date and how that might implicate, in the Joshua Wilder fight. So in other words, what I want to talk to you about is a fight that we've been waiting for ages that hasn't happened yet, and how it impacts on another fight that we've been waiting for ages that hasn't happened yet. Doesn't sound like a fascinating content for a talk, but there's a few things that have popped up that I think is worth talking about. So obviously Fury Wilder, I was hoping that this broadcast will be a preview of Fury Wilder, which was supposed to happen at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on the 24th of July. That's not going to happen. 9 days ago, there was an outbreak of COVID in Fury's camp. 9 people went down with it, including Tyson. So the fight was postponed. We've now on Thursday had the rescheduled date of October the 9th, same venue, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So it's now on October the 9th. Now, it seems pretty straightforward. He got COVID. He hasn't suffered badly with it. Tyson apparently had one jab, didn't have his second jab yet because it was just before the fight and he didn't want to feel ill just before the fight. So he had one jab. So it's very minor symptoms of COVID. Obviously, Wilder and Malik Scott, predictably, Wilder and his trainer Malik Scott, predictably, they love their conspiracy theories and they don't offer a lot of proof for them. Have said no, this has nothing to do with that. They're just, they're getting out of the fight and all this sort of stuff. Which seems a bit daft. They didn't offer any evidence for this. Incidentally, though, Eddie Hearn did chime in as well. Because we've got this sort of Hearn-Warren proxy war going on. So Eddie Hearn did pipe up and say, listen, they only sold 25 to 30% of tickets. The fight was dead. They hadn't even announced a UK TV broadcaster. So they were way behind the curve. They've scrapped it because of that. That was Eddie Hearn's take on it. It was rebuffed by Frank Warren, who said, no, Bob Arum has told me we have sold 40 million quid worth of tickets. We were just about to announce the UK broadcaster. So, but whatever. The fight is rescheduled for October the 9th, which obviously will allow UK fans, we think, to travel to Vegas, because obviously that was off the table and Tyson does bring a big crowd. But, I don't know, the rumour is that ticket sales weren't great for the fight. So now we're moving into October the 9th. Now, interestingly, you've got to look at whether this is good or bad for the fight that we really want. And the fight we really want is Joshua Fury. And again, although, in these days when things are not signed and people announce dates and times and everything else, when it's not signed, you're always a bit sceptical. But Joshua Usyk is being mooted for the 25th of September, because Joshua now has to fulfill his mandatory against Alexander Usyk, 25th of September at the Tottenham Hotspur football ground at White Hart Lane, with 60,000 in attendance. And Eddie's very excited about this. So that looks like it's fairly nailed on as a date. Now, interestingly enough, that pulls their fights into some kind of alignment. So if Joshua fights on the 25th of September, of course, he's got to win that. And, if Fury fights on the 9th of October, and of course he's got to win that, that would seem to set it up perfectly for an early 2022 super fight. But, we'll have to see how that breaks down. Interestingly enough, another couple of things that popped up this week, Ricky Hatton said he was worried about the delays. He said the delays are only going to benefit Joshua and they're going to penalise Fury. His rationale behind that was that, Joshua has always lived the life. Don't forget, when these guys go at it, and Fury is going to be 33 when he fights Wilder, and Wilder's going to be touching on 36. So, time is kind of not on his side. And Hatton's rationale was that Joshua has always lived the life. So he's a kind of young 32, not a lot of miles on the clock. And we all know Fury had that terribly debauched period when he ballooned in weight and all that sort of stuff. And Hatton's argument was that affects your longevity. So the older Fury gets, he's not going to be, what we see, we don't seem to see the impact of the alcoholism and the drug taking and the weight gain now, but it will hit him, down the road. So, that was Hatton's argument. And also he said motivation wise, although Fury lives the life now, to have these constant delays for somebody who kind of needs for their own peace of mind and mental health to train constantly, spar constantly, and you do that because you have a fight coming up when you're a pro boxer. So he's worried that might knock him off the rails. Another interesting development, Freddie Roach has said that he will be in the corner for the third Wilder fight. So he said, but he's not getting rid of Sugar Hill Stewart. Remember, in the first fight, Roach was actually in the corner. A lot of people forget this, for the first Wilder fight, working with Ben Davidson. And there seemed to be a couple of, words in the corner about tactics during that fight. The second fight, obviously, Fury decided he needed another trainer. He got Sugar Hill Stewart in, who coaches much more aggressively, and he came out very aggressively. What was always interesting to me about that fight is you watch the Fury Wilder fight 1, rounds 1 to 11. Fury's tactics are very similar: move around the ring, skirt around, dart in, dart out. Then he got caught with that knockdown, that incredible resurrection, and he went straight for Fury. Maybe he thought, I don't know what was going through his head, but maybe he thought it's kind of shit or bust for me here. And he went straight for Wilder, and he was really, really winning the last part of the round, miraculously, after that incredible knockdown. Now, interestingly enough, I think what clicked in Fury's head was, this is how you beat this guy. Even though he only had a minute of it, he was like, that's how I'm going to fight this guy from now on. And sure enough, he got in Sugar Hill Stewart, and he was much more aggressive. And if you look at the continuity of the fights, from after the knockdown in round 12 of the first fight, he boxes like that from round 1 of the second fight and pushes Wilder back and does that thing that, Evander Holyfield did to Mike Tyson, that Kelly Pavlik did to Edison Miranda. He got the murderous puncher, the bully, pushed him back, took his power away. The guy couldn't fight on the back foot and knocked him ragged all around the ring. So, you got to think that's probably going to be his tactics for this fight. But it looks like he's going to bring Roach in to work with Sugar Hill Stewart, which will add another dimension to his game. So maybe he's not just going to be, overly aggressive there. But, the interesting thing is as well, coming up for these fights, it's great that we will have these fights aligned. But I think if you look again, like I said, Fury's going to be 33 going in this fight. Wilder will be 36. Joshua's 32 in October. Usyk will be 35 in January. So try and look at that and think, well, when have we had super fights before? Remember Ali Frazier in 71, the previous super fight. And Frazier was 27 at his absolute peak. Ali was 29 coming off a 3-year layoff. And a lot of people hark back and say that we missed Ali's peak years there. So he wasn't the same fighter when he came back and lost to Frazier in that amazing fight. But 29 and 27. So you're looking at these guys, between 36 and 32. And you're starting to say, well, are they going to miss their peak? Because, this dance at the top of the heavyweight tree that we've been waiting for to play out, and we're all looking for that ultimate fight, which we see now as Fury Joshua, the final decider. Maybe these guys are going to go into that when they're past their peak, and that's going to be a terrible travesty. We want the best to fight the best at their best. We want the best possible version of each one to fight their rivals and find out who's the best. So, the peak is passing. These guys really need to get a move on. And, at this point, old boxing heads like me always used to like to chuck in a few statistics, which I know are fairly irrelevant because, we're in a different age, we're in a different, a different boxing scape and all that sort of stuff. But Harry Greb in 1919 fought 45 times, 45 fights, 45 wins. And this when he was middleweight champion. In that period, he fought 5 Hall of Famers. It was just an incredible barnstorming tour. Incidentally, quite a few of Greb's fights in 1919 were cancelled because either he was injured or, his opponents just pulled out. We're just worried about this, incredible fighter coming for them. But he still managed to fight 45 times and win 45 times. Henry Armstrong in 1936 went 59 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. Draw and loss, hotly contested, by the way. So really 61 fights in 45 months. In that time, he won the featherweight world title and went on to win 3 world titles in 3 different weights. Robinson v. LaMotta, 2 great fighters who fought 5 times. Their second fight, there was 21 days between the second fight and the third fight. 3 weeks for them to recover, recuperate, and go again, in those humdinger battles. So, I just think, we're so few and far between with these fights now. It's frustrating. This sort of log jam at the top of the heavyweights. And, maybe it's worth looking back. I know it's a different time and a different era, but let's look at what those guys used to do. And now you're only fighting once every 18 months. And, your time is going to pass. So, Peter, we look forward, hopefully, hopefully this doesn't push Fury Joshua further away. Hopefully it brings it back closer together. Hopefully it aligns them. And in October, we're going to have, they're both going to finish their fights victorious and say, right, I am now fighting in early 2022 in this super fight. But we'll wait and see. The summer's here. Let's enjoy it.